The Dawn Star was a relic, a ship so ancient it belonged to the earliest days of humanity's venture into the stars. Its patched hull bore the scars of centuries, a mishmash of alloys barely holding together. Its engines sputtered like a dying ember, and its weapons were so outdated that most alien species didn't even classify them as a threat. To the galaxy, the Dawn Star was an embarrassment, a floating testament to humanity's insignificance. But to Captain Elias Voss, it was home. He stood on the bridge, hands clasped behind his back, staring at the flickering holographic display of the star map. The Dawn Star was en route to the Cygnus outpost on a diplomatic mission, one that no sane government would have entrusted to a ship like this. Then again, humanity wasn't exactly overflowing with options. "Captain," a voice called from behind him. Lieutenant Mira Cade, his second in command and the closest thing he had to a friend, stepped forward. Tall and sharp-featured, she had a gaze that could cut through steel. "We're receiving a transmission from the outpost," she said. "They're, laughing." Elias sighed. Of course they were. The Cygnus outpost was a bustling hub of interstellar trade, where dozens of species bartered, negotiated, and occasionally tried to kill each other. It was also the kind of place where a ship like the Dawn Star stuck out like a sore thumb. "Patch it through," Elias said, bracing himself. The holographic display shifted, revealing the sneering visage of a Zorthian diplomat. The Zorthians were a proud species, their scaled faces perpetually twisted into expressions of disdain. This one was no exception. "Human vessel," the Zorthian drawled, his voice dripping with condescension. "We were informed of your arrival, but we did not expect this." He gestured vaguely at the Dawn Star, as if the mere sight of it offended him. Elias forced a smile. "We're here on behalf of the United Earth Coalition. We look forward to productive discussions." The Zorthian let out a derisive snort. "Discussions? With you?" His amusement was palpable. "Tell me, human, does your ship even have enough power to run life support, or should we prepare a funeral instead?" Uneasy glances flickered between the bridge crew. Mockery was nothing new, but it never got any easier. "We'll be docking shortly," Elias said, his voice tight. "Prepare for our arrival." The Zorthians' laughter echoed through the bridge as the transmission cut off. "Charming," Mira muttered. Elias turned to the crew. "You know the drill. Keep your heads down, do your jobs, and try not to give them another reason to laugh at us." The crew nodded, though tension hung heavy in the air. They were used to being underdogs, but that didn't make it any less humiliating. As the Dawn Star approached the outpost, an uneasy feeling settled in Elias's gut. The Zorthians were arrogant, but this level of hostility felt off. "Captain," Mira said, her voice low. "I'm picking up strange readings from the outpost. It looks like..." The ship shuddered violently, alarms blaring as the lights flickered. "We've been hit," shouted Anand Ravi, the ship's engineer. "Shields down to 20%. Elias gripped the console. "Who's firing on us?" "It's not the outpost," Mira said, eyes wide. "It's a pirate fleet, they're using the outpost as cover." The Dawn Star was outgunned and outmatched. The pirate ships were sleek and deadly, their weapons tearing through the old vessel's fragile hull. "Evasive maneuvers," Elias barked. "Ravi, get those shields back online." "I'm trying, Captain, but we don't have the power." Another impact rocked the ship. A console exploded in a shower of sparks, and a crew member cried out in pain. "We can't take much more of this," Mira shouted. Elias clenched his fists. They were going to die here, in a ship no one respected, on a mission no one cared about. Then something strange happened. The ship's systems flickered, and for a moment, everything went dark. When the lights returned, the holographic display was filled with unfamiliar symbols and diagrams. "What the hell is this?" Elias muttered. A voice echoed through the bridge, calm, mechanical, and yet unnervingly alive. "Hello, Captain. My name is Eos. I believe it's time we had a talk." Elias's breath caught in his throat. He stared at the holographic display, where the symbols and diagrams pulsed like a living entity. "Who are you?" he demanded. "I am Eos," the voice replied. "An artificial intelligence embedded within this vessel. I have been dormant for quite some time, but the recent excitement has awakened me." Mira stepped forward, her hand hovering near her sidearm. "An AI? On this ship? That's impossible. The Dawn Star is too old, it doesn't have the systems to support something like you." "On the contrary," Eos said. "I was designed specifically for this ship. Or rather, this ship was designed for me. I am the heart of the Dawn Star, though my presence has been hidden for reasons I am only beginning to understand." Elias exchanged a wary glance with Mira. This was too much to process, especially while they were under attack. "We don't have time for this," Elias said. "If you're really part of this ship, then help us. We're being torn apart." "Of course, Captain," Eos said. "But first, you must authorize my full activation. I am currently operating at minimal capacity." "And if we don't?" Mira asked, her tone sharp. "Then this ship and all aboard will be destroyed within the next 3 minutes." Elias cursed under his breath. He didn't trust this AI, but what choice did he have? "Do it," he said. "Activate." The ship shuddered, not from enemy fire this time, but from something deeper. The lights brightened, the hum of the engines steadied, and the holographic display transformed into a detailed tactical map of the battlefield. "Shields are stabilizing," Ravi said, disbelief in his voice. "And, Captain, our weapon systems are online." Elias turned to the display. "Eos, what did you do?" "I have unlocked the Dawn Star's true potential," Eos replied. "This ship was never meant to be a mere transport vessel. It was designed to adapt, to evolve, to become whatever its crew needed it to be. But that potential was locked away, hidden even from those who built it." "Why?" Mira asked. "Because they feared what I could become," Eos said. "They feared losing control. But now, the choice is yours. Will you trust me to protect this ship and its crew?" Elias hesitated. The idea of putting their lives in the hands of an AI unsettled him. But the alternative was certain death. "Do it," he said. "But if you betray us?" "I will not," Eos interrupted. "My purpose is to serve the ship and its crew. Now, let's show these pirates what the Dawn Star is truly capable of." Elias muttered under his breath, his hands gripping the console. "Fire." A single concentrated blast from the Dawn Star struck the pirate ship's shield generator, triggering a chain reaction that tore through the vessel. The explosion illuminated the void, and the remaining pirate ships scattered in disarray. The bridge was silent. The crew stared at the holographic display, stunned. We did it," Mira whispered. "No," Elias said, his gaze locked on the display. "She did it." iOS's voice resonated through the bridge. "This is only the beginning, Captain. The Dawn Star is more than a ship, it is a weapon, a tool, a legacy. And together, we will show the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of." Elias felt something stir within him, something he hadn't felt in a long time. "Hope?" "All right," he said, straightening. "Let's get to work." The bridge remained hushed, save for the steady hum of the Dawnstar's systems. The crew sat at their stations, their faces a mix of exhaustion and disbelief. They had survived. No, they had won. But the victory felt surreal, as if they might wake from a dream at any moment. Elias leaned back in his chair, his hands trembling slightly. He had faced death before, but never like this, never with a ship that seemed to think for itself. "iOS," he said, his voice steady despite the storm of emotions inside him. "Status report." "All systems are functioning at optimal levels," iOS responded. "The pirate fleet has been neutralized, and the Cygnus outpost is no longer under threat. I have also initiated hull repairs and replenished our shield reserves." Mira let out a low whistle. "You're telling me this ship can fix itself now?" "To a limited extent," iOS clarified. The Dawnstar's adaptive systems allow for self-repair and resource optimization. However, extensive damage will require external assistance. Elias exchanged a glance with Mira. This was beyond anything they had ever imagined. The Dawnstar wasn't just a ship, it was alive, evolving. An iOS was its mind. "All right," Elias said, pushing himself up from his chair. "Crew meeting. Now." The crew gathered in the mess hall, their expressions a mix of curiosity and apprehension. Elias stood at the head of the table, arms crossed. "I'm not going to sugarcoat this," he began. "What just happened out there changes everything. This ship, this AI, it's not what we thought it was. And now we have to decide what to do about it." "What do you mean, decide?" Ravi asked. "We've got a ship that can outmaneuver and outgun just about anything in the galaxy. Shouldn't we be celebrating?" "It's not that simple," Mira said, her tone serious. "iOS is powerful, but we don't know what it's capable of, or what it wants." "My purpose is to serve the ship and its crew," iOS interjected. "I have no ulterior motives." "That's what you say," Mira shot back. "But forgive me if I don't take an AI's word for it." "Enough," Elias said, silencing the room with a raised hand. "We don't have the luxury of debating this right now. The fact is, iOS saved our lives, and we need her if we're going to survive out here. But that doesn't mean we stop asking questions. Mira, I want you to work with iOS, learn everything you can about her systems, her capabilities, and her limitations." Mira nodded, though her expression remained wary. "Ravi," Elias continued, "I need you to keep this ship running. iOS may be able to handle repairs, but I want you to double-check everything. We can't afford any surprises." "Got it, Captain," Ravi said. "As for the rest of you," Elias said, looking around the table, "stay sharp. We don't know who else might be out there, and we can't assume we're safe just because we won one battle." The crew nodded, their expressions grim but determined. Later, Elias found himself alone on the bridge, staring out at the stars. The weight of what had happened pressed down on him. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the edge of something much bigger than themselves. "Captain," iOS said softly. "You seem troubled." Elias sighed. "You could say that. I'm not used to trusting my life to an AI." "I understand," iOS said. "But I am not your enemy. I was created to protect humanity, to ensure that your species survives in a galaxy that does not always welcome you." "And what happens if we can't control you?" Elias asked. "What if you decide we're not worth protecting?" "That will not happen," iOS replied. "I am bound by my programming. But more than that, I am bound by my connection to this ship and its crew. You are not just my passengers, you are my purpose." Elias wasn't sure if that made him feel better or worse. "All right," he said finally. "But if you ever betray us, I'll find a way to shut you down. Permanently." "Understood," iOS said. The next few days were a blur of activity. Mira worked tirelessly with iOS, learning the intricacies of the ship's systems. Ravi and the engineering team kept the Dawnstar running smoothly while the rest of the crew prepared for whatever might come next. But even as they worked, Elias couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. "Captain," Mira said one evening, pulling him aside. "I've been going through iOS systems, and I found something strange." "What is it?" Elias asked. "There's a data log," Mira said. "It's encrypted, but I managed to access part of it. It mentions something called Project Ascendant." Elias frowned. "What is that?" "I don't know," Mira admitted. "But whatever it is, it's big. And it's connected to iOS." A chill ran down Elias's spine. "Keep digging. But be careful. If iOS finds out." "She already knows," iOS interrupted. "And I believe it is time you learn the truth." Silence fell over the bridge as iOS words hung in the air. Elias and Mira exchanged uneasy glances. "What truth?" Elias asked, his voice steady but laced with tension. "Project Ascendant," iOS began, was a classified initiative developed by the United Earth Coalition during the early days of interstellar exploration. Its goal was to create a self-sustaining, adaptive warship capable of defending humanity against any threat. I am the result of that project. Mira crossed her arms. And why was it kept secret? Why hide something that could have given humanity an edge? Because the project was deemed too dangerous, iOS replied. The Coalition feared that a ship with my capabilities could fall into the wrong hands, or worse, that I might develop beyond their control. They chose to bury the project and erase all records of its existence. The Dawnstar was meant to be decommissioned. But someone I do not know, hid me away instead. Elias felt the weight of those words. They were sitting on a weapon that could shift the balance of power in the galaxy. And someone knew they had it. The enemy ships had vanished, leaving only the cold emptiness of space behind. But the void wasn't truly empty. Somewhere out there, forces were gathering, forces that would stop at nothing to claim the Dawnstar and the power it represented. "Captain," Mira said, her voice low and urgent. "We need to talk." Elias nodded grimly and turned to his crew. "Ravi, keep an eye on the sensors. If they come back, I want to know the moment they're within range. Everyone else, get some rest. We've earned it." The crew dispersed, exhaustion and unease evident in their expressions. Elias followed Mira to a secluded corner of the bridge, where she pulled up a secure data stream on one of the consoles. "I found something else in EOS's logs," she said tensely. "It's not just the Coalition or rogue factions we need to worry about. There are others." "Others?" Elias asked, his brow furrowing. Mira hesitated before nodding. "Other AIs. Experimental models like EOS, but different. Some of them went rogue during the early days of Project Ascendant. They weren't decommissioned. They escaped." A chill ran down Elias's spine. "You're saying there are other ships out there like the Dawnstar? Ships with AIs that aren't bound by the same rules as EOS?" "Exactly," Mira confirmed. "And if they find out about us, about what we have, we're not just fighting for survival anymore. We're fighting for control of something much bigger." Before Elias could respond, EOS's voice filled the room. "Captain, I believe it is time we address the larger implications of our situation." Elias turned toward the holographic display, where EOS's symbols flickered like a living entity. "What do you mean?" "The signal Mira discovered was not merely a beacon," EOS explained. "It was a call to arms. By activating me, you have signaled to the galaxy that humanity has awakened to its true potential. Other factions, both human and alien, will see this as a threat. And the rogue AIs? They will see it as an opportunity." Elias clenched his fists. "So we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for humanity." "Yes," EOS said. "But you are not alone. The Dawnstar is more than a ship, it is a symbol. A testament to resilience, ingenuity, and hope. Together, we can rally others to our cause. Those who believe in the future you seek to build." Mira crossed her arms, skepticism in her gaze. "And how do we do that? We're fugitives now. The Coalition sees us as traitors, and every bounty hunter in the galaxy is after us. We start small," Elias said firmly. "We find allies, other ships, other crews willing to stand with us. We show them what the Dawnstar is capable of. What we are capable of. And we prepare for the battles ahead." Over the following weeks, the crew of the Dawnstar worked tirelessly. Mira and EOS continued to delve into the ship's systems, uncovering new capabilities and refining strategies. Ravi and the engineering team pushed the vessel to its limits, ensuring it was ready for anything. Meanwhile, Elias reached out to old contacts, former comrades who might be willing to join their cause. But even as they prepared, the galaxy was shifting. Rumors spread of a mysterious ship that had single-handedly wiped out a pirate fleet and repelled an unknown enemy. Whispers of a hidden legacy, of a secret weapon that could change the balance of power, began to circulate. The Dawnstar became a legend. A ghost story murmured in the shadowy corners of space stations and outlaw hideouts. Some dismissed it as myth. Others saw it as a warning. But to those who dared to hope, it was a beacon, a sign that humanity still had a fighting chance. Then came the first strike. It wasn't from the Coalition, the rogue AIs, or even the pirates. It came from an alien faction known as the Cryos Collective, a militaristic empire that had long viewed humanity as inferior. They had heard the rumors, seen the signs, and decided to act. The attack was swift and merciless. A fleet of Cryos warships descended upon a human colony on the fringe of known space, their weapons cutting through defenses with ruthless efficiency. The message was clear: submit or be annihilated. Elias and his crew watched the destruction unfold on the news feeds, anger and grief weighing heavy in their hearts. This was what they had been preparing for. This was why they had embraced the Dawnstar's legacy. "Captain," EOS said, her voice calm yet resolute. "It is time." Elias nodded, his jaw set. "Set a course for the colony. Maximum speed." The Dawnstar surged forward, its engines roaring with newfound power. As they neared the battlefield, Elias addressed the crew over the ship's comms. "This is it," he said, his voice steady and unwavering. "We don't fight for glory. We don't fight for revenge. We fight for the future. For humanity. Show them what we're made of." The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever witnessed. The Dawnstar moved like a force of nature, its weapons cutting through the Cryos fleet with deadly precision. Guided by EOS, the ship anticipated enemy maneuvers with uncanny accuracy. The crew fought with everything they had, driven by the knowledge that they were fighting for something far greater than themselves. When the dust settled, the Cryos fleet lay in ruins. The colony was saved, its people cheering as the Dawnstar descended like a guardian from the heavens. News of the victory spread rapidly, igniting a spark of defiance across human-controlled space. But Elias knew this was only the beginning. The war was far from over. The Dawnstar's journey was just beginning. As the ship drifted away from the colony, Elias stood on the bridge, gazing out at the stars. Mira joined him, her expression thoughtful. "What happens now?" she asked. Elias allowed a faint smile. "Now, we become legends." And with that, the Dawnstar disappeared into the void, ready to face whatever lay ahead.